this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me again today. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK, and I'm here today to show you how I made this little card. Rainbow hearts. I love a rainbow. Those of you who have been following me for a while will know that I love a rainbow. You'll also know that I love a clean and simple design with lots of white space left on the card, and this card just meets all of that and double really, and I really love it. I'm just going to try and bring it a bit closer to camera and see if it will focus so you can see. Can you see the little score lines here, which just add a bit of texture and a bit of detail to it? Otherwise it would be a bit too plain. So I've got a layer of white on white and then another layer of white and then some embossed lines just to add a little bit of texture without too much. So I'm going to show you how to make it today. Again, it's one of these cards that looks very simple, but you have to have it precise. You have to get the measurements right, otherwise it's going to look a mess. If your hearts don't quite line up like this or whatever, it's just not going to look right. So you've got to get it absolutely precise to make it look good. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with a card blank. Piece of basic white. Used to be Whisper white, but the factory, unfortunately, the mill where it was produced couldn't survive COVID and so has gone under. So we now have basic white, almost the same as Whisper white, still a lovely smooth surface, so nothing to worry about there. Stampin' Up did a really good job of replacing. I forgot to say at the beginning of this video, if you do want to purchase anything that's mentioned today, it's all available in my online shop, which you can find a link to below the video. So my card blank is half a sheet of A4, measures 15 centimetres this way, or 6 inches, and it measures 8 1/4 this way, and I'm scoring it at 4 1/8 or 10 1/2 centimetres. So that's just a very, very simple little card blank. So I'm just going to take that off there. And I tend to have this card cut to size ready because I use so many Whisper white or basic white card blanks. Now, some of you might find, I don't know if you can see that hasn't quite lined up for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't cut it quite straight. So I'm just going to take my mini cutter and I'm just going to make sure it is really straight, because I think that would make it look not quite so good if there were some edges that weren't quite matching up. So I'm just going to trim off and make sure it is actually really, really, really straight and precise. Right, okay. Now, we're obviously going to need our panel here. So we need a Whisper white panel. I've got a piece of Whisper white here. I need to cut it to size. So remember, my card blank is 15 by 10 1/2. So I'm going to cut my card blank to 14 by 9 1/2. So it'll be a full centimetre smaller than the front of my card. So we need 9 1/2 this way. What did I say? Did I say that? 9 1/2, because our card blank is 10 1/2. We need it to be 9 1/2. And so that's a centimetre strip of paper I'm cutting off there, and then 14 rather than 15 here. There we go. I cut these card blanks down out of a sheet of A4 so that I have them, these panels, so that I have them ready. There we go. And that's going to layer on there, but not quite yet. Right, I'm just going to take my bone folder. I'm just going to go over those edges just to get rid of that lip that you get when you cut with that trimmer. It's not a problem, but I just don't like that feeling. I like it to be nice and smooth. Right, okay. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to do the embossing and the mounting of the panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my panel down first. Now I've got a panel here that measures 2 centimetres. I think that's right. Yeah, 2 centimetres, and I want it to go not quite centrally. I want it to be slightly far up. So I measured, and it's 3 1/2 centimetres from the top of the card to the top of this strip. So I'm just going to, where's my pencil gone? Get another one. I'm just going to measure 3 1/2, and 3.5, and that's going to help me ensure that this is really straight, because one of the things that will make this card look really dodgy is if your panel goes off at an angle. So I've got those two marks there, do you see? Don't know how well you can see them on the camera, but I'm just going to glue this so that it just go over them, and I know that it's central. So a little bit of Tombow. And if you want to, you could use the other end of your Tombow to smooth it out if you wanted to. I tend to use the thin end all the time and then just smooth out with a cocktail stick. I always have hundreds of cocktail sticks hanging around my room. There we go. And there. And glue that down. So that's my panel stuck there. I'm hoping that is straight. I think it's straight. I'm just going to measure here. Yeah, it's 4 centimetres from the bottom, so it's 3.5 from the top and 4.5 from the bottom. So it's only slightly not central. Right, we can trim off the overhang here. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. Oh, excuse me, it's buried behind some things here. Just take me a minute to get it. There we go. Right, and what we're going to do is on the opposite side, but I can still see where my panel is, we are going to score 2 lines. So there. I've done that with the thin tip, which is the one I wanted to use. So I want this to be quite a deep emboss there. So that's my first embossing line. I'm going to put it back and I'm going to do it at the next 1/8 of an inch. Like so. And you could keep it the right way around, but I'm just going to do this. I find it quite awkward working too close to that edge. So I'm going to go to here. Where is my, I can't quite see where that ends, so I want to, there we go, do another one there. You could do it the other way around, of course, but your lines would be debossed rather than embossed. And then an 1/8 of an inch along again. And then you've got that really nice texture for your card, which just makes a bit of a difference when you're doing this. Right, so we're now ready. We can now mount that onto our card blank. Bring in my Tombow again. There we go. Just glue that on. You could use any glue to do this. You could use one of our tape runners, our seal, or any glue you have. If you're using PVA and it's not Tombow, just be a little bit careful because it can be quite wet and it might warp the paper. You do have to be careful with PVA. There's different consistencies. Some of them seem to be much more watery than others. There we go, that's the wrong way up. I think that's the right way. It's very difficult to tell because it's only just a little bit not central. But just check you have got it the right way up. And there we go. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure all these edges are really well stuck down. Like so. Right, now we need to do our hearts. Now, of course, we want our hearts to be spaced equally. Oh, actually, we've got to do our hearts first. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Got one on the floor here. Let's show you how we did the hearts. Now, the hearts are stamped from a stamp in the Arrange a Wreath, and they're quite easy to miss actually. 2 little hearts there. This set is gorgeous. This is just so lovely. I can't tell you how much I've used it, and I will still use it. This would be one of my top 5 from the annual catalogue. Really love it, and it's appropriate for so many occasions. Looking forward to Easter and being able to use these little Easter eggs as well. But that's for another time. Today we're using the hearts. So we've taken the hearts. Now I have cut my hearts apart. Don't know if you can see the line there. They're actually cut apart because at one point I wanted to do separate hearts. But actually I've put them back, and it's quite easy to just put them back together exactly where they would have been, because you've got a die in here that will cut out 2 of the hearts for you. Somewhere, where's my heart die? Oh, I've got it out. So you want them lined up, ready to cut, because that just makes life a lot easier if you can do 2. You don't need 2 at a time for this design, because you only need 1 of each colour. But actually, I did 2, as I was making this, I did 2, because it means I've got enough to make another card should I want to. Right, and I'm just going to show you 1 of the colours. I've done 6 of the colours already, so I'm just going to show you. It was a really good excuse to use up a little bit of scrap card to do all of these. So if you've got any little tiny bits of Whisper White, this is a great card to use them up. Right, this is Gorgeous Grape. Just going to stamp my hearts like so. It always stamps quite dark Gorgeous Grape, but it does dry a little bit lighter. Just going to move everything off here and move my grid paper to bring in my die cutter. My little mini die cutter that I never knew I needed a mini die cutter, and now I can't live without it. It's one of those things I never even knew that you could get such a thing, but now that I've got it, I wouldn't want to be without it. It makes it so much easier to use. Our normal die cutter is good because it's got a much reduced footprint from the Big Shot. That used to be the problem with me with the Big Shot. I loved it. It was such a good machine, but it did have such a big footprint. I didn't have anywhere in my craft room to keep it, so I had to keep it on the desk just outside, which was a bit of a pain when you wanted to die cut. And so then they brought out our normal machine, which is much better because I can keep that on a shelf behind me here. But this one is even better. If I'm just doing little dies like this, just sits on my desk. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. There we go. And it's so easy to use and so smooth. I don't know if you noticed there, but it was so smooth. Right, okay, so we've got 2 purple ones there. We don't need 2 purple ones, 2 Gorgeous Grape. We only need 1, and I'm going to put a dimensional on 1. There. And then I have, like I said, I've already done the others. So I've got 1 of each, and I've actually got a rainbow of hearts to do another card, should I wish to make another one of these. I did make this card for Valentine's, but actually, I don't think it needs to be for Valentine's. I think it could be any occasion. You just want to send a little bit of love to somebody. I think that would be great. Right, now then, to get your hearts equidistant, and I'm afraid I'm doing this in metric. So our panel measured 14. So you need to measure 1 3/4 centimetres all the way along. So it's 1 3/4. And then 3 1/2, that will be, won't it? 1 3 1/2. And then 5 1/4 and 7. And then 8 3/4, 10 1/2, 12 1/4, and then, yeah. So there we are. So that will ensure that your hearts are equidistant, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the green heart and put that in the middle. Like so. Where are my tweezers? Actually, I'm just going to go and put these marks slightly lower because I don't want them to show. So I'm just using a guide. I'm going to rub out the top ones. You see, when you see one of my clean and simple cards, you don't realise that all this has gone into it. It always looks really simple, and that's without having to come up with the design. So to come up with the clean and simple design actually takes quite a lot of time and a lot of prototypes and a lot of working things out. You don't see all that. You just see the finished card and it looks really simple, and you think, oh, that's a really simple little card. Actually, that's rarely the case. There we go. And then this one is going on the next dot. So you can see this is going to help us keep these perfectly spaced so that they're all equidistant. So if you're doing it in inches, you would just have to, the calculation that I did was I took 14 and I divided it by 8, and then that will give you the distance that you need your hearts to be at. So if you're doing it in inches, if you put in So this panel is 5.5. So if you put 5.5 into your calculator and divide it by 8, it will give you a measurement, and those are the measurements, those are the distances between each heart that you need to go for. We were having a discussion the other day about whether metric or inches, and I am nearly always a metric girl, except if I'm doing boxes or things like that. If it's something that I do need to use the scoreboard for, and I know I've used the scoreboard today, but if it's something that I need to do a lot of measuring on with the scoreboard, scoring with the scoreboard, I generally work in inches, but mostly I work in metric. Right, and there we are. And of course it's your choice, whatever sentiment you want to put on your card, but I think I would like Hugs and Kisses, which is the one that I used, and this is a stamp from Oval Occasions. This is in the new mini catalogue, the spring and summer. Hugs and Kisses. I just think that's quite nice, nice little message to put on a card, especially when you've got hearts on it. And so now, if you're a braver woman than me, or a braver man than me even, you can stamp. Because this is red rubber, you can't see exactly where you're stamping it, so you could stamp straight onto your card. If I do that, I'm bound to get it wrong, so I'm not even going to attempt it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp on a piece of paper, on a piece of cardstock. Like so. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim it down. And I'm going to trim it with scissors. You can do it with your trimmer if you want to. If you've got a pair of long bladed scissors, it's quite easy to do and keep nice straight edges. Like I say, you can stamp straight onto your card if you'd prefer. I know that I could do that if I'm working on my own in my room. If I try and do it on camera, I'm going to mess it up, especially as I can't get quite over top exactly where I want to be. So that's going to go there. So just a little bit of Tombow on there. And then we're done. But like I say, you could put any sentiment on here. You could put thank you. Could be a thank you. Could be thinking of you. Could be I love you. Could be sending love. It could be the for you. There's one in the perennials that says for you, so it could be that one. And then just inside, I didn't show you the inside before, I had two little hearts left over, so I just stuck them inside. So I'm going to do the same. I've got some leftover hearts here. So let's go with a Bermuda Bay. Gorgeous grey. Oh, gorgeous grey. The Bermuda Bay's gone. I might put 3 in here actually, because I've got some spare. And a daffodil yellow. Doesn't want to lie there. Right, okay, so just a little bit of Tombow on each of those. To decorate the inside, just to put just a nice touch really. Of course, you could stamp them if you don't want to do die cut ones. You could just stamp them inside your card. You don't want any dimensions in the card, so you don't want to put any dimensionals on, because then the card won't shut properly. There we go. And there we have it. There we go. So, rare for me to do 2 identical cards, but I thought I would today. Love those, really, really like those. And I hope you do too. Please check out my blog. The link to the blog post where I posted about this card will be on the link below. And I think that's it from me today. Don't forget Celebration. If you're watching in February 21, then we've got a few more days left of Celebration where you can earn free products for spending £45 plus. I've also got a very special offer on my newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, do subscribe, because it's a very special offer. I'm trying to get to a certain sales target by the end of February. So I've got a little incentive for my newsletter readers. So do sign up if you haven't already. And that's it from me today. I'll be back very soon with another video tutorial. But meanwhile, have a lovely day, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.